Hey guys, this is the Fight Nerd, and joining me now is Strikeforce CEO Scott Coker. Scott, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Now, actually, a little inside fact for you guys. Last time we talked was back when Herschel Walker had his press conference, and this is the exact same shirt that I wore then. I washed it since then, don't worry. So last time you had a cold off, so have you recovered fully from that cold?
I am fully operational now.
Okay, that's good to know because you got a long 2011 ahead of you guys, and you're starting off the year with the Strikeforce Heavyweight Tournament. So let's just start off, break down that tournament.
You know, I'll tell you, when you look at the brackets, I think that every match is going to be interesting, and I think some of them are going to be explosive. And, you know, it all starts February 12th at the Ice Out Center with Fedor fighting Bigfoot, which, by the way, guys, you know what? People said Fabricio Verdum had no chance against Fedor. Bigfoot is a big guy, and I tell you, if he you know, gets Fedor down on the ground, he might have a hard time getting up. And keep in mind, this guy diets to get to 265. So, you know, Fedor might come in at 230, and he's going to have his hands full, I'm telling you. I think that's a 50-50 fight. And Karatanov, who a lot of, average fans don't know who he is, right now, I think the beauty of the Showtime relationship is that over the period of this tournament, if he survives, people are going to know who he is. He was the last guy to beat Alistair Overeem, and he beat Fabricio Verdum about 3 years ago. So he is no joke, and Andre Arlovski knows what's on the line here for him. So, in a couple fights, he could be the king again and be right back on top. So it's an important time for those four athletes.
And there's a lot of guys who are actually in this tournament who are coming off some losses, like Brett Rogers, for example, just lost 2 fights against Fedor and against Overeem before. Now, since this is a tournament format, let's say some of these guys lose. Like, let's say Brett Rogers loses his fight here. That's right. Basically 3 losses in a row. Are any of these guys going to be cut, or are they going to be kept on?
Oh, you mean if they lose at the tournament? I mean, here's the thing: is that we evaluate each person but let's face it, like with Brett, he had a tough fight against Fedor, which I thought he did a good job, and then had a really tough fight with Alistair, and we asked him to fight Andre Arlovski, Fedor, and Alistair Overeem all in like a year's period, and he stepped up, rose to the occasion, and we could have cut him twice, but we didn't because we think that he still has potential as a heavyweight, but he's going to have to go out and prove it this time.
Now, one of the interesting things that you have happening in this tournament is that the heavyweight title is going to be on the line every time Overeem fights. So my question to you is, how is that going to work exactly as you're moving along the tournament? Is Overeem's fights going to all be 5-minute rounds? Okay,
so that hasn't been determined yet because we're working with the athletic commissions, and I was telling Eddie earlier is that we can't have one fighter fighting five-minute rounds and the rest of them fight 3. So we're trying to work out the commissions, and we'll have it ironed out by Thursday, and we'll make an announcement. But if we can't do all 5 rounds for every fight, then what will happen is it'll go where Alistair's title will not be on the line, and then we'll have a tournament champion, just like in Japan.
All right, so kind of following just a basic tournament format, like you said, and another company that's been using these tournament formats quite successfully is Bellator FC, who you guys last year, there was some talk about some warring, if you will, mostly out of Bjorn Rebney, hoping to go to war against Strikeforce. Has anything happened since then?
No, I mean, it's, the whole text thing was, to me, come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, just reach out and call me or something. But, it is what it is. I mean, they made he wanted Eddie to fight Gilbert, and we talked about one time before Gilbert was injured from his fight with Aoki, and then that's it. And we haven't talked since about it.
Now, would co-promoting with a company like Bellator be beneficial for you guys, detrimental, or just make no difference at all to you guys and more only just elevate Bellator?
I mean, here's the thing, guys. You know what? Every situation I will evaluate independently, and so depends on what the business looks like. Because if it makes business sense and there's some upside to it for us, then we'll probably do it. We have not been opposed to co-promotion. I did it with Elite XC when we had Frank Shamrock fight Phil Baroni, and we had Kung Lee fight Frank Shamrock. So we did co-promotions then, did co-promotions with Dream, did co-promotions with M1. So we're not the company that's going to be opposed to that, but it just has to make sense on all sides. Otherwise, we won't do it.
You mentioned M1 Global now. Now, what has your relationship been with M1 in terms of this co-promotion? How has that worked for you guys so far, other than Fedor's contract?
I mean, it's very clear that it's important to them. That's one of the reasons why we got Fedor. So we're going to honor our deal, and you'll see M1 on the stuff that Fedor's fighting in. But this is a Strikeforce World Grand Prix tournament, and when Fedor doesn't fight, then there will not be M1 branding on the tournament because it's a Strikeforce tournament. But with saying that, M1 is our partners on the fights that we do together, and we're going to honor that contract.
So M1 essentially only works with the shows that have Fedor in them.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I also wanted to ask, since you previously mentioned you used to work for K1 back in the good old days. Now, what's your thoughts on the current situation over at K1 and Dream and Japanese mixed martial arts?
Well, I tell you, that's a tough one to answer because when I'm over there, it seems like business as usual. And then I only hear from the fighters that, are not getting paid or whatever, that there's a problem. So the fighters that we've taken over there have all gotten paid. So that's not an issue. So to me, I'm kind of 50-50 on what's going on over there because it seems like business as usual to me.
Okay. Now, I also wanted to ask about Strikeforce Challenger, since you guys had a show actually on January 7th. How would you rate that show now in terms of 1 to 10?
I mean, I thought it was, it could have been a 10, yeah, but I think it was a 9. Because here's the thing. Like, people say, okay, Tyron Woodley, he played it safe, this and that. But you know what? He fought a smart fight. And Tarek Saffiedine is a dangerous guy. So he fought a smart fight. And I think that a guy like Tyron is learning and getting better and improving his ability every fight. And he's training to become a complete mixed martial artist. I thought the entertaining fight of the night was OSP versus Abongo. And then the girls' fight, that came out of nowhere. I was like, holy cow. Yeah, this girl, she really proved that she belongs in the 145-pound weight class and fighting top level talent. And she's somebody that maybe in a couple fights, we can bring along to fight Cyborg.
Now, anybody that we saw fight on that night, are they going to be moving on to the Showtime shows by any chance?
Well, DC is definitely somebody that will, has already been pegged to move forward. So same as Tyron, and I think also Tarek Saffiedine. I think those 3 fighters you'll see moving up, and OSP, man, he sure is growing quickly. So he's another guy that proved that he could fight at that level, and let's see what happens.